touchdown.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Pigskin Thursday. And boy, what a great show we have in store for you tonight. Just an amazing show. We got a lot to go over. We got a lot of people on the show tonight. So first of all, I want to thank you all for taking the opportunity to join us so very much on our Pigskin Thursday program. A reminder to you all that in about 15 minutes, we're going to have the great former defensive back, cornerback, deep safety for the New Orleans Saints. Toy Cook is going to be joining us live. That's right, Toy Cook. And then after Toy, we're going to have the beat writer for the New Orleans Saints joining us as well to break down the Saints and also the Buccaneer game this weekend, Sunday Night Football. We're also going to do our picks tonight. So a loaded, packed show for you tonight. We're going to talk about the big win by the Buccaneers in the Meadowlands on Monday night. Before we get to Toy, we're going to break that down as well. And for those of you that are trying to post comment for some reason, I guess it's not allowing comments from right now from Facebook, so I'm not sure what's going on there. So from a comment section, I cannot tell. We want to thank our persons on YouTube. Let me see if I can get to some of these comments real quick on Frankly Speaking Sports. Always love to hear the comments. On YouTube, I'm trying to get the comment part of it. But for some reason, it's not letting me. So we're going to figure that out for next week. Why the comments? Going to have my technician, the great Matt T, look at that and see if we can find out why Facebook is no longer allowing messages to come from that location. And we'll fix that up. But for those of you on our YouTube platform, I know my good buddy Eric is on. Thank you for joining us today. And before we break down this game, as we got 15 minutes to do so before the great Toy Cook comes on, let's go back, let's take a second, and let's take a look at these highlights from Monday night's game between your Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the New York Giants. Let's go ahead and do that.
New York City.
Wait right here.
Look, man, look. You can't go to my house's hood without your homies. Nah, man, listen, you can't do that, man. That's not safe. Woo! You gotta have your whole crew before you go to my house's hood. Everyone of them? The whole crew with you. Ain't that where I grew up?
As always, everything starts right here. Everything starts in this room. With us, right here. We didn't want to go out there and make it happen. Everybody gonna be watching tonight. Let's put on the show.
They gonna have to see 2-4. Yeah. They gonna have to see 3-3. Yeah. They gonna have to see 3-1. You feel me? Yeah. The whole world. Turn this down. Let's go.
Jones looking for Dion Lewis, and he hung on to it. Touchdown! Amazing sliding grab from Dion Lewis. And the Giants take the lead.
Let's go, gangster. Let's get one. Let's get one.
Jones, pressure up the middle, not going to escape that time. Back at the 43-yard line, there's Devin White on a sack. Giants right back to the line of scrimmage, and Wayne Gallman into the end zone. Touchdown, Giants.
All right, don't forget it. We got to play the game. Let's play.
The Buccaneers knew they were going to be in a football game tonight, but there's no way they anticipated trailing 14-6 and playing the way they did in that first half. And so this, I think, this would be an important possession to start the second half by the Giants. comes late. Jones hit as he throws, and it's intercepted. Picked off by Carlton Davis. And the turnover. Bug bites Daniel Jones again.
Turn up now, man.
A goal to go means touchdowns for Brady and Tampa Bay. Perfect in that department of the season. First and goal from the 3. Tipped, and Gronk still catches it. And they're going to give him the touchdown. Brady to Gronk. Stop me if you've heard that one before.
Are you ready to jump on that?
I was so ready.
Perfect. That was a great catch, bro.
That's why I was so thrown off with it. I was ready to jump.
Yeah. Good.
Good protection. Now it breaks down. Jones hasn't run all night, and it's picked off. Intercepted. Sean Murphy bunting. And just when things are going good for New York, it's the turnover again. First down and goal. Brady throwing for Evans in his neighborhood. Got it. Touchdown.
That boy T said, Tom said, hey, run a fade, Mike. Tyler said, be that dude, man. I said, all right.
No player in the NFL has been targeted in the end zone more than Mike Evans over his career. And another one to the list.
One stop, and we can get the ball and score. Ice him.
There's still a lot of time on the clock. 3:44 left. Here's Suckup, 38-yard field goal. Everything looks good on that operation. 25-17 Tampa Bay. It's been a really entertaining football game. The Giants, despite the mistakes, they're right here in this game.
But the game's going to come down to Daniel Jones being able to make a play. They're not going to drive the ball down the field methodically.
Second and 10 from the 19. Jones for the end zone. It is caught. Touchdown. Golden Tate hauls it in. And the Giants are a 2-point conversion away from tying the game. Here we go. To tie the game. Jones throwing for it, and it is knocked away. Dion Lewis and Antoine Winfield contact. There's a flag in the end zone. Did Winfield get there too early?
Dion Lewis was working back to the ball, and Winfield, wow, that is close.
There is no foul for defensive pass interference on the play.
And what a game, what a way for this game to end. And I'm going to tell you, I looked over and over and over at that play, and I got to tell you, folks, when you look at this play, it looks like, and I look at it from different angles, you want to talk that, you could not play that ball any better than Antoine Winfield played that ball. I mean, you look at the play, you break it down, and everything about that play was exact timing, and the ball hit him exactly at that time. For those of you watching on Facebook, I know you can see us, but for some reason, Facebook is not allowing your comments to come through to us. We're going to try to figure out why that is. Sometimes they have a bad thing where they don't let you do these things for some reason. So I'm trying to figure out why, but for those of you, we'll give you a contact number after some of the interviews to go ahead and call and give you comments and things of that. But let's talk real quickly. We got about 7 minutes before the great Toy Cook comes on, former New Orleans Saints, and I want to go ahead and talk about this game as I move some things around here. And this was one of those games that, I said it early, and, I'm not the I told you so type person, but I said if you take this game lightly, it's going to kick you in the butt, and it almost did. And I don't think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers take it lightly, but this is what's bothering me about this team. Here is a team, Tom Brady, I thought, again, looked fantastic. I believe, I had his stats. I think he was 28 for 40, 279 yards, 2 touchdowns, throwing the ball all over the field to different receivers. And oh boy, are those New Orleans Saints defenders in trouble this week, because not only does Chris Godwin come back, but Antonio Brown is going to make his debut as well. That should be a great thing. If you're trying to go ahead and leave comments from Facebook, I apologize. Right now, Facebook is for some reason not allowing BeLive to get comments. You can go to YouTube as well and leave messages on our Frankly Speaking Sports platform. So I do apologize about that, folks. But I can hear you. You can hear me. We're going to give you a number in a little bit to call in. But this is what I thought. I thought overall the offense played well. I mean, they gave up a couple of sacks. I believe it was 2 sacks to Tom Brady. Overall, the big problem that I thought with the offense that happened in this game, in a quick nutshell, in a quick synopsis, is number one, we had 4 field goals. Great news. Ryan Suckup makes 4 field goals. Bad news. Why are they field goals, and why aren't we scoring in the end zone in those particular areas? And I think we need to take some of those field goals and turn them into touchdowns, because here we had an opportunity to really score a lot more points and put the game away at a certain junction of that game. That's number one. Number two, week in, week out, all I hear is, this defense is great. This defense is great. Oh, it's the next coming of sliced bread. I don't want to be negative. Remember, guys, I am a Bucs fan just like you, but we still need a lot of work on the defensive side of the ball, and I've been saying this every single game, especially at the cornerback position. Let me tell you what we have here. And you guys agree with me, or we agree to disagree. But either way, this is what I see. We have a defense here that when it comes to big plays and a key point of the game, they are delivering. They're coming out with big plays at big times, at big junctions of the game to make a major difference. And in my opinion, they're doing it the hard way. If they would just learn how to play the game throughout the first 60 minutes, their cornerbacks, they wouldn't have to be in these situations to make these big plays, to make these big interceptions, to go ahead and have to stop a 2-point conversion at the end of the game to win it. Once again, our cornerbacks keep getting beat. Yes, Bunting had an interception. He did, but he also got beat a couple times. Carlton Davis, I love him to death, still got beat. We saw Devin White, who, really I thought on that touchdown pass that what he was defending, I actually thought he played pretty darn good defense on that play. He just got beaten. But those plays, our defense against the pass has some opportunities. And I don't want you folks out there to be fooling yourself, because what you're doing is you're looking at this team and we're hearing, this defense is great. Antoine Winfield, Devin White, Golston, Levante David, the most underrated player in the NFL. And you hear about this, but there's opportunities out there. You're kidding yourself. We gave up 100 yards rush in this game. That's going to happen. That doesn't bother me. We still have probably one of the top Russian defenses in the NFL. But when it comes to defending the pass, I'm telling you what, okay, Daniel Jones had many opportunities to win that game for the Giants, and he did not take advantage with it because he did not have pinpoint accuracy on the deep ball. Otherwise, we were in for a long night. Now, you guys can fool yourself and say how great this defense is. And believe me, I'd love to do it with you. We're all Bucs fans. We want to talk positive. But they're going to have to straighten this out very, very quickly, because if you play that type of defense against Drew Brees coming up this Sunday night, it could be a shootout in the 40s. And we do not want to get into a shootout. Although I am very, very comfortable that we could win that, our corners, and I say cornerback to make sure you understand me, need to come out and need to play. Dean needs to be there. Davis needs to be there. Bunting needs to be there. And of course, I can't say enough about the great play. I thought it was an excellent play by, Antoine Winfield to end that game. But look at these statistics real quickly before we get Toy Cook on. The Buccaneers defense gave up 357 yards. 101 of them was rushing. Okay. The Giants averaged 5.2 yards a play. That's huge, and that's with them missing several opportunities on passes that should have been completed. And I know it's not an if game. Let's stop doing ifs. But I'm just laying the facts down. The Buccaneers defense did get 3 sacks. They did get 2 interceptions. I didn't like that the Giants were 2 for 2 on 4th down conversions, and the game had to come down to Antoine Winfield Jr. making the big stop, obviously, on that play. We are a couple seconds away from Toy Cook coming on. I'm looking right now to see, so bear with me. Let me let him know that we are ready. Got several ways to contact them, so whoops, wrong person there. That could be that problem, huh? Let me know we're ready. All right. And like I said, momentarily we should have Toy Cook coming on with us. He just sent me a message. So we'll continue to talk about this Giants game before Toy gets on. Let's see. Okay, stay with me, folks. I think he wants to do a phone interview. Let me go if you... What's I can do? All right, he's going to give us a number, then we're going to go ahead and get him on. So we're just waiting for that. That way we can do that. Sometimes these guys like to come on the phone. Sometimes they like to come on video. So we're here to make everybody happy, folks. So we're moments away from having him on the line. But yeah, I'm looking at some of the comments that I do see, and this was a game, this is what scared me. I told everybody that the thing in this game that really, really scared me was the fact that you're going into New York, and, this could have been a letdown. And, thank gosh, they won the game. They did a great job. Unbelievable stop at the end. I know Mike Evans said, yeah, this is a game where we would not have won last year. That might be so, but at the end of the day, you don't need it coming down. That was a game you could have made a statement and should have made a statement, and you won. Let's be happy. You won the game, yet you didn't win it convincingly. And give credit to the New York Giants. Give credit to the New York Giants who came to play. They had nothing to, let's not say they didn't have nothing to play for, because they were only a game behind the division. That division is so terrible this year that they did have a game to play. And they almost caught the Buccaneers by surprise and won that game. Let's go ahead and get Toy Cook on the line right now with us, and we'll talk to him live about his days.
is using RoboKiller to screen their calls. Please say your name and the purpose of your call, and I'll try to connect you.
All right, Larry Frank, Frankly Speaking Sports. We're trying to get Toy on right now with us. Hello?
Hello?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is my great honor, thrill, and most of all pleasure to introduce to you on the Frankly Speaking Sports line, former New Orleans Saints defensive back, Toy Cook. Toy, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. I'm so sorry that I couldn't get on. This is the problem with technology.
Yeah, I know it. And that's why I always have a plan B. So thank you very much, for sticking with us there. And, we're glad we got you on here tonight. And thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Toy, let me ask you a question. 2007, 207th pick, 8th round, 1987. Did you ever expect when you got drafted in the 8th round that your career would be as successful as it turned out to be?
Yes, I did. I was lucky enough, and this will go to show you the power of words. I was at Stanford, and my junior year, we were covering in the summer professional athletes from the 49ers. So John Elway would come back, Jim Plunkett would come back, Joe Montana would come out there, Mike Wilson, Kenny Marjoram, Chris Dressel. So all these pros, 7-year, 8-year pros, they would come out, and I would cover them, and Ronnie Lott and Eric Wright and Dana McLemore were out there. So, I had the blessing to be around a bunch of pros. So despite me being drafted in the 8th round, I had started 3 years in the Pac-10 at the time, and people that were going in the 2nd round, like Flipper Anderson and Aaron Cox and guys that I covered, and that was DBs in the draft. Larry, Ricky Reynolds from Washington State went in the 2nd round. USC, his dad just passed away. Lou Brock Jr. So I knew that I could play, and then during the summer, Ronnie kept telling me, "You can play in the NFL League. There's no question in my mind that you can play. It's all about technique. It's about technique." So when you have pros telling you, guys, Ronnie Lott and Eric Wright were kind of like all pro telling you, I actually came into the league thinking I'd been drafted in the wrong position. They had made a mistake. When I got off the bus, I had all of my suitcase and television and VCR, and Chris Myers, who was a reporter at the time, said, "Toy, are you planning on staying a while?" And I said, "Of course. What do you think?" Now, I was too stupid to know that I might be cut, so that was a blessing. But that being said, the long answer is yes, I did believe I should have been there. Okay.
So when was it? Because, you were a 2-star athlete, and, back in the 80s, it was a time when we had a lot of 2-star athletes. You had the Brian Jordans, you had the John Elways, and you had these guys that played, a lot of them some of them ended up playing 2 sports. I know Elway decided on football, but at what time, or at what specific time did you know, hey, it's going to be football, and that's all?
I didn't really know. I had played baseball since I was 7. I didn't start playing football until I was 15. But it came down to, and I said this all along, depending on who drafted me. I got drafted by the Saints, and I got drafted by the Minnesota Twins, who had Kirby Puckett, rest in peace, in center field. They told me, the Minnesota Twins said that they would move Kirby to right and move me to center, and I would be up in less than 3 years to the majors in their estimation. And in football, I knew that I would know in 5 weeks. So I said, let me go see what's happening with the New Orleans Saints. If I don't make it, I can always go to winter ball. And I gave myself 3 years to make it. and I just happened to go play football, and I didn't get cut. And I was too lazy, believe it or not, to try to pursue baseball because I feel like I already proved that I could do that, and it was not in my best interest to try to play professional baseball. But there is no question in my mind that I could play.
Yeah. And, then in 1992, you probably had one of your better years, 6 interceptions. I know one was for a return for the Saints. Talk about your career playing in New Orleans and actually also playing under Coach Mora.
It was fantastic. If it wasn't for Jim Mora, I don't know if I get 11 years in the league. He was the perfect coach for me. We had a great staff. Don Capers was my first defensive back coach for 5 years. And then Jim Mora, J.L. Mora, was my second coach. Vic Fangio was on that staff. He's the head coach of Denver in the league. I spent 9 of them, 7 in New Orleans and 2 in Carolina with Vic, where he was the defensive coordinator. Don Capers was the head coach. Steve Sidwell was our linebacker coach. So it was just a great staff. And Jim Mora was so hard. And I was reading about, I want to say, Wayman Tisdale, who, when he tried to make the 1984 Olympics, Bobby Knight was so hard on him. Didn't want him on the team. He said because of Bobby Knight, that made him a better player. And I felt the same way with Jim Mora. He was so hard on me. And it was good because it made me a better player. So I had a great time. We knew Emerald Lagasse when he only had 2 restaurants. I lived down in the quarter. I could walk out of my place, make a left, make a right, and I'm in Emerald. Or make a right, and I'm in French Quarter. So it was great, and we were winning. So never had a losing season in New Orleans. We were, of the 7 years that I was there, we went to the playoffs 4 times. And at the time, there was no basketball, so it was all Saints all the time. So I had a great time.
Yeah, now, the one thing I noticed about you, Toy, about amongst a lot of things and how you played the game is the teams that you played for in New Orleans, and I'm sure you know this, but you never had a losing record. I think the worst record of any team that you played for while you were in New Orleans was 8-8, like a 500 team. Let me ask you, doing that, getting in the playoffs 3 or 4 times, whether it was wild card or however you did get in, how did that help you later, that experience, when you did finally get to the Super Bowl when you were with the 49ers?
Well, I mean, it was actually a joke between the Niners and me and Ricky Jackson when we finally beat the Chicago Bears in the first round game of the playoffs. And they said we were off the schneid because at that time, Ricky and I had been 0-4 in the playoffs. And they used to tease us because, we were coming from the Saints, that we had to come join them to learn how to win in the playoffs. So a lot of it was, in New Orleans, and while being in New Orleans, I think we had a great offense. Bobby Hebert, Dalton Hilliard at running back with Reuben Mays, Hobie Brenner at tight end, Eric Martin, Quint Early at the receivers. But in New Orleans, I had Steve Young, Hall of Famer, Jerry Rice, Hall of Famer, John Taylor, who should be in the Hall of Fame, Brett Jones, who should be in the Hall of Fame. And they averaged 33 points a game, where it's the Saints, we averaged like 14, and we gave up 12. So it's just a different offense philosophy. We had Morton Anderson in New Orleans. He was so automatic that our offense would shut down once they got within full field goal range, where in my first year in San Francisco, we had Doug Bryant, who was a rookie, and if you had seen him kick in practice where he was kicking like 1-irons into the turf, and we were like, there is no way we're going to let this guy dictate if we win or lose. So there was an emphasis on scoring touchdowns, and that makes a difference in the playoffs.
Let me ask you this, okay? You played, and I'm asking you, well, let's start with first this question. I was thinking which one to ask you first. But it's a different game today. I mean, you can't even, make believe that it's not. I mean, when you were playing, especially the position that you play, Toy, when you were playing, I mean, it was a hard hit, hit them as hard as you could type of defensive team. And it wasn't just the Saints, but it was throughout the league. I mean, is it safe to say, and I'm sure you could adjust to the new rules if you were playing today, but is it safe to say that a lot of the players that played back then would have difficulties not being able to do the things today that they could do back then?
Larry, for $15 million a year to be the nickel, I am sure that I would have been able to adjust. It's like the rest of the players that played before me, for the amount of money that they're playing, I'm pretty sure, like we used to say, the guys before me were playing for a six-pack, right?
Right.
I'm pretty sure that Walter Payton and Ray Nitschke and Dick Butkus would be able to play in today's game under these rules and for the amount of money. Because nowadays they take care of the players like they take care of their Ferraris and their Porsches. Back then, they took care of their cars like they were trucks. It's just a different mentality. But there's no question we would have made the adjustment.
Yeah, and I know you would, but it's sort of saying how different the game was back then than it is today.
Well, but like for me, I wasn't a physical player. I didn't need to get my hands on you to go where you're going. A lot of it was I was blessed with the ability to memorize plays and formations, so I probably gained a step that I didn't have, but I was able to make up for it with my ability to recognize plays and situations. And then once again, like I said, I never got pass interference. One time, we were watching film, and I told Ricky Jackson, as I was bragging, that how I never get pass interference. And he goes, that's because you're not physical. So that felt past. He jumped on that one. But it worked out in my favor because when you went against big receivers that might push off or knock you off balance, because I wasn't close to them, it allowed me to stay close to them and make a play on the ball. And because I played baseball, which was what made Deion Sanders so fantastic, is our ability. I caught so many fly balls that when the ball went up in the air, to me, it was a fly ball. And I was always going to get my glove hand on. So when you see DBs running with players and then the ball goes up, and you're like, how did they miss that ball? A lot of that has to do with just panicking in that situation. But because Deion and myself and Brian Jordan did it so often, I think we were just better ball players. And that was because we played two sports, which you talked about earlier.
So, you were a player rep for 10 years. How much of an honor is it to be a player rep, for the other players in the league when you're a player yourself?
It was fantastic. I learned a lot. I learned about the whole business of football. I saw the effect that Gene Upshaw and leverage that Gene Upshaw was able to create by having 3 players per team, which only one got the vote. And if you recall back in the day, they used to cut player reps. That's why you needed 3, because someone was getting cut, the clubhouse lawyer. So I remember my rookie season, 1987, we went on strike, but I was so vocal being an 8th-round pick because, A, I knew the people that they drafted in front of me were not better than me. I knew that there was 30 teams at the time in the league, so I had 29 other suitors. So I, of course, felt very comfortable, but I was so vocal. Obi Brenner from USC, who at the time was our player rep, came to me and said, Toy, you should be a player rep. And I said, there is no way I'm going to be a player rep because those guys get cut. And he goes, Toy, it's 2 first class tickets to Hawaii. And I go, really? And he goes, yes. And I go, I'm in. And so I went there just for the ride and sat there and listened to a bunch of players screaming at Gene and the executive committee, like, oh my God, this is unbelievable. And then I saw how we lost 50% of our $24 million to law fees to fight the league and what what designated gross revenue meant and what the cost of our union, what's the teams, each of their salary cap. So I learned a lot, and it was because of the union, and I believe it's a great system.
Yeah, now, a couple questions before I let you run here, Toy. Are you still involved with the New Orleans Saints in any way, shape, or form? Or do you, I'm sure you still pull for them in some fashion because, you played for them a while.
Well, I belong to a football pool in which I compete against my wife, my 27-year-old son, 25-year-old son, and 90 other people. So whoever the point spread, and this past week I went 7-6 after starting off 6-2. So whoever I pick, obviously I'm always pulling for John Lynch and for the Saints and even Carolina Panthers, because Jerry Richardson, despite what happened to him at the end, was a fantastic owner who always took care of me and the players. That being said, I just look for a good game, and I want the best. Hey, listen, when Jimmy Garoppolo missed the wide receiver in the Super Bowl, and he was open, and not that wide, but it was a tough throw, but he was open, and then you just go, do you think in that situation, does Joe Montana miss that throw? Do you think Tom Brady misses that throw? And in the game against the Patriots, to beat the Patriots, Nick Foles did not miss that throw. I feel bad for Jimmy Garoppolo, but I feel good for Patrick Mahomes because conversely, he had the same kind of deal, but he made the plays, and that's the beauty of the game. And it was a close game. So I just root for good games and for the athletes to do well and everyone to stay safe.
Well, let me ask you this before I let you go, because obviously you mentioned Tom Brady, and it just so happens that this Sunday night, it's the Bucs versus the Saints. Talking about a great game. Any outlook on what you see? We're talking on a Bucs network. Any outlook, what you think, what type of game that should be?
Well, I think I'm going to lean on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in this game because I think that with Gronk getting more and more in shape, they're now adding Antonio Brown, whether you like him or not. But this is a forgiving society in which people get second, third, and fourth chances, which makes this the greatest country in the world, despite what's happening. This is still the greatest country in the world. So who are you going to double team if you're facing Tom Brady? And they got Mike Evans, Antonio Brown, and Gronk on the field, along with Ronald Jones, who's running the rock. And you got the technician at the controls of the plane. Conversely, on defense, they have a lot of pressure, and they're playing a lot better. So right now, but this is football. So you never know who's going to show up. But on paper, I'm leaning Bucs.
All right, Toy. Well, listen, I want to thank you so very, very much for coming on Frankly Speaking Sports tonight, talking a little bit about your career. I really did appreciate it.
Hey, Larry, once again, I appreciate you reaching out to me, and I apologize for being late because, we stand for guys who don't like being late, and I know how tough it is doing a show, so I appreciate you having me on, and good luck in the future.
All right, thank you, and be safe.
Thank you, man. You too.
All righty. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Toy Cook, the great defensive back, all the way back from the 80s and early 90s, as I move a couple of these things along here. And we're about 5 minutes away from having John Hendrix on with us as well. We're going to be talking a lot today about the upcoming Sunday night game that will be coming up. It's a night game. It's going to be, I believe, 8 o'clock, 8:30 at night. But, what a game that's going to be. And when you look at this game, and first of all, for those of you that are just joining us, we are going to do the picks later on tonight after our interview with John Hendrix, the beat writer. I did put on the bottom, you'll see scrolling through is the games and the lines for week 9. Take a look at them. enjoy them, and then afterwards we'll go ahead and give you, frankly speaking, sports prediction, Pigskin Thursday predictions on the games. We are right now, I've got our record down. I believe we are 49-50 on the season, something to that effect. We're one game under 500 in our picks, so looking forward to that. But, got a lot of good points, and, it's one of the great questions that the Saints are going to have to answer this upcoming weekend, and we'll get with John Hendrix on in a minute, in about 30 seconds, actually. And who the heck do you cover? I mean, Godwin, Brown, Gronk. Did I say Evans and Godwin? I'm sure I did. Just to name a few. It's just an incredible, great situation for the Bucs, but there's no double teaming when it comes to this game. And let me see. I know right now that our good buddy John Hendrix is getting ready to come on right now with us. So let's go ahead and pull him up and get him on the air right now with us. There he is. I knew he was there. John, how you doing tonight?
Good, man. How about yourself?
Hey, I'm doing good. We just got off. I don't know if you got to see any of it, but a name from the past that you'll know, Toy Cook was on with us. We talked to him for about 15, 20 minutes. What a terrific guy. Love bringing back the old days, when we were kids, or in some case, some of us weren't even born yet. But just a great, great player for the Saints, and great honor to have him on a couple minutes ago, as it is yourself. For those of you who don't know, John is a beat writer for the New Orleans Saints. Want to thank you once again. We play it twice a year, and then maybe a third time, depending what happens in the playoffs. So thank you very much for coming on.
I appreciate you having me. Yeah, it's I've been telling people the same thing. I'm like, hey, look, I wouldn't be surprised if this wouldn't be the last. I would be surprised if this would be the last time we see these two teams face off. And look, going back to Toy Cook, man, he was a good one for the Saints and just in the league in general. And look, I think for the old fans that might not have remember, but the days of the old NFC West when New Orleans was in there with Los Angeles Rams at the time and San Francisco 49ers, all that crazy division. And, Tampa was in the NFC North division, right? Remember those days? I mean, it was just kind of one of those crazy things. But Toy Cook was a great one for the Saints, and he's a good guy too. Yeah,
definitely is. So, John, we're going into a game, the Buccaneers 6-2. Obviously, the Saints 5-2. They played one less game than the Bucs have up to this point. Week one, both these teams, and I say both, are completely different teams than they were in week one. They finally got some games under their belt. I mean, it looks like, and we're going to ask you any updates, but from my understanding, Emmanuel Sanders, Michael Thomas are going to be back. I know Breeze was a little banged up, but they said no issues. What are you hearing from the injury front as far as the Saints go?
Yeah, there's no question Emmanuel Sanders is definitely playing. The NFL cleared him on Monday from his COVID case and such, so he's definitely going to be in the lineup for Sunday night. Michael Thomas, I mean, he was dealing with a grade 1 hamstring. Look, a lot was been made about that and just a lot of different things that were being thrown out there. But the bottom line is the guy's chomping at the bit to play. He's going to hopefully play this game. I mean, he's on the right track for sure. So there's no doubt in my mind that even if he's at 75 or 80%, he wants to play this Sunday. And as far as Drew Brees, look, he's 41, so he's not going to sit there and harp on anything. He's going to make it work. So I don't think there's anything to concern there. So going into this game, look, you're looking at a pretty healthy Saints squad, or at least on paper, they should have pretty much everybody in their starter as far as their starters going into this game.
And, Brady versus Breeze, we heard this already once this year. Is time dwindling down where we're getting to the end of possibly this ever happening again?
I think so. I mean, it's tough to say what's going to happen with Drew Brees after this season, and I know I get asked every single year. And look, I think he wants to do it as long as he can. Kind of obviously, contemplated retirement this off season. But look, I think again, he's given the Saints the best chance to make a run at it, right? And I firmly believe that. And so many people got racked up into air yards and all this craziness. Analytics can be great, but they also can be crappy to say the least, right?
Right.
But for him and Brady to go off, I'd love to see it another season. I just don't know. It just depends on how things shake out. It's a shame because of everything that's happened with COVID, that presumably the last season that could be for Drew Brees, that a lot of people don't get to see it. So you definitely cherish some moments. But Brady versus Brees is about as good as it comes. I wish we could see it a lot more. And honestly, when both of those quarterbacks were in their prime, look, we got to see it a couple times when the Saints played New England a few times. And those two, man, they just are masters and magicians at their craft. And they'll definitely go down as first ballot Hall of Famers. Definitely some of the best to ever play this game.
Yeah, there is no doubt about that. Now, a little bit different than last time. Just when you thought that this offense of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers couldn't get any better, they added Antonio Brown in. You and I know that, if you take the trouble that he has been in the past away, I don't think anybody can argue the ability he has to play the game if he keeps his head on straight. Now you got Godwin, Evans, Antonio Brown, Gronkowski, and we're not even talking about the running backs out of the backfield with Fournette, McCoy, and Jones. I mean, I don't know. Can you double team anyone?
I think it's going to be one of those defensive chess matches, and I think it's on both sides of the ball because, the Saints have a lot of weapons in their arsenal too. But, look, with the Bucs, I mean, this is a team, and I think when we talked last time, my concerns about the Buccaneers were the offensive line and the secondary, and I think their defense has been outstanding and really has rallied since that Week 1 matchup. I mean, their front seven and defensively was always good. But they secondary, they figured it out. Antoine Winfield Jr., he was somebody high on my radar. I absolutely loved him. But, for the Saints defense, let's just talk that. They've had a lot to figure out. And again, they have been better, improved, but they're still not even close to where they should be. Some of the busted coverages, missed assignments, different things that has plagued this team. Again, if they don't have a stellar pass rusher, they don't have all their proper game plan, this could be a hard one for them, because the biggest thing is, look, Brady's going to take his shots. They're going to look at the film. They're going to see where some of this busted coverage is coming from. And look, just when you think you have one matchup, Lattimore and Jenkins are interchangeable. So you think Lattimore's probably going to hover against Mike Evans, and you're going to have probably Jenkins take Godwin, assuming he plays in this game. And so then you mix in Brown. That's a tough one. That's where I could see somebody like maybe PJ Williams taking those snaps if they don't roll with CJ Gardner-Johnson. So, look, it's a chess match. And right now, I feel probably better about the Bucs being able to move the ball on the Saints defense than I do feel about the Saints defense stopping them right now.
Well, let me ask you also about this matchup, which last time was obviously controlled by the New Orleans Saints. And I know it was Week 1. They hadn't played all year. But how about Cam Jordan versus Donovan Smith? Seemed to take complete control and just destroy Donovan Smith. In order for them to even have a chance in this game, he's going to have another game like that.
Yeah, look, I mean, Cam Jordan's kind of had, from an analytics perspective, he's actually had a pretty good season. From the sack department total, hasn't put as much on it as we would have expected. Probably not even a shade of what he was last year. But look, Cam Jordan's one of those guys that when you game plan around the New Orleans defense, that's number 1 or 2 that you try to make sure that you compensate for, whether it's double teams, whether it's just getting the right battles, extra or running back support. It doesn't matter. You got to do something to chip Cam Jordan, and he's going to try to get his as much. The good news for the Saints is, especially last week against the Bears, they had 5 sacks against Nick Foles, and they got it from a lot of different ones. They can get it from the interior. They can get it from their other guys like Trey Hendrickson. I mean, these guys aren't household names by any means, but they get the job done. Marcus Davenport's another guy who's really been coming on lately. He's made some real big strides. He wasn't in the first game. He's missed the first several games, obviously, for the Saints. So, look, it's an underrated pass rushing attack. I mean, there are 19 sacks in the league right now, I think, coming in. So it's, we're definitely one of the most underrated parts of them. But, look, they have got to figure out a way to get after them. And so, look, I think, something to pay attention to is obviously Ali Marpet's availability. I think he's an outstanding interior guard. He's one of my favorites coming into the draft. I thought the Saints could have got him at one point. But, look, I think they have a few questions there to answer. And obviously the rushing attack is another one. New Orleans defense has been pretty stout. Obviously the streak is going along lines of 50 games without a 100-yard rusher. So at some point it's going to crack. I don't know if it's going to be Ronald Jones that does it this week, but look, that's always a storyline to pay attention to. But that starts with the pass rush, and if they can't get anything after Brady and he has all time to throw, then it's going to be a long one for the Saints.
And, I wonder a similar perspective when it comes – and let me explain the Buccaneers from what I've seen. I don't know if you had the opportunity to watch the Monday night game versus the Giants or not. But, when you watch that game, there was several times, in my opinion, that I saw Buccaneer cornerbacks that were getting beat just that Daniel Jones wasn't necessarily putting the ball right on. Now, we can say – if this was Drew Brees, but then again, we don't know if that would be the same defense that they would have played if it was Drew Brees. But what my point I'm making is that if these defensive backs for the Buccaneers don't play better than they did versus Daniel Jones, we're not talking in any way, shape, or form a 13-10 game here. We could be talking a 40-31 game and a shootout here in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, it's very possible. And I tell you, looking at the Bucs corners, I mean, again, they've looked good. And I think Carlton Davis obviously gotten high praise from Sean Payton, a lot of those guys. But, the hip movement and the different things, there's so much that a cornerback is asked to do in the league. And, back in the days when you had guys like Deion Sanders or Champ Bailey or whoever putting the clamps down, offenses weren't completely as evolved. And there's just been so much different change in the football aspect here. And so, look, it's a lot to ask of, and even bad corners have good games, and good corners have bad games. And this is one where, look, I think the Bucs can disguise some looks maybe to try to hurt Drew Brees in a way. But look, I think Drew's underrated coming in because he's been very careful with the football. I think he only has 3 picks all season. And look, he's not going to force anything down the field. And I think that's one of the things that fans have been waiting is like, oh, well, he doesn't have this deep ball. He doesn't have all that. No, he's just playing smart football. He's trying to protect it. He's not forcing stuff down the field. He hasn't had Michael Thomas. He hasn't had Emmanuel Sanders for the past couple of games. Alvin Kamara has been absolutely outstanding. He's a nightmare to defend against. And then you add in, plays like with Taysom Hill and Jared Cook at tight end. A rookie undrafted guy, Marquez Callaway, looked extremely good against the Panthers. And so, look, again, it's not a ton of household names, especially on offense for the Saints, but they just find a way. And Drew Brees is a very masterful surgeon when it comes to carving up defenses. So, I mean, and he's no stranger to playing against the Bucs. So I'm sure what we saw in week 1 is going to be interesting. But I'm with you, man. I don't know that it wouldn't be a shootout this time around. I said it for week 1, the first to 30 is the one that's going to win. This one could be same type of boat, but it's going to be just interesting, with the aspect of they're playing in Tampa. The weather's might be something to keep an eye on. So maybe it's something with the ground and pound with it, but it just remains to be seen right now.
Now, if you go back to game 1, here it is, the Saints win the game. And if you remember, if I'm correct, I'm doing it by memory, Alvin Kamara really didn't play a big part in that game. Now, do you think it has to be different this game? Yes, I know they won without him playing a major part, but the chances of them being able to do that twice with Kamara being involved just seems very unlikely.
Yeah, look, I mean, the Saints are 5-2 with Kamara in the lineup playing against them. And look, Kamara hasn't had a 100-yard receiving game against the Bucs since September 2018 game. So, I mean, the Bucs have done a good job of game planning against him. I mean, he's one of those that you can really completely shut down. You just hope to kind of contain and isolate him a little bit. But look, he's going to get his touches. Latavius Murray's obviously going to be a good change of pace back for the Saints. But with Kamara, it doesn't matter who you put on him, whether it's a linebacker, a cornerback, a safety. He just finds a way, and Breeze is so good at finding the tight windows to be able to fit it to where only his player can get it. So Kamara is one of those guys you just want to try to slow him down as much as possible, try to force him into some bad decisions or bad mistakes. It's going to be tough running on this Bucs front. The Saints know that. They've got a good offensive line. But, look, it's when it comes down to it, you're going to feel good when you get a 3 or 5 yard gain. You're not going to really see a lot of bursts or things like that. But, look, for the Saints to stay honest with him, Kamara's a huge part of why they've been able to win so many games this season. He's just made unhuman plays. He's so exciting to watch. And every single time you watch him run, he looks like a gazelle. He just doesn't even look like he's hitting full speed. So he's a very worth every penny that the Saints paid him. But, look, he hasn't had the type of success he has once had against the Bucs. So that'll be something that he's obviously looking to break that streak.
And, another guy that scares the heck out of me, and I've been a fan of him ever since he's been with the Saints, and I know we talked a lot about him last time. What a great week he had last week, I believe it was, is Taysom Hill. I mean, is there anything this guy can't do?
Yeah, look, and the crazy part is with Hill, look, he didn't have a good start to this season. Against the Bucs, it wasn't too bad, but, he hit a real big slump. He just, for whatever reason, Peyton would take him out and put him on the field on third downs when Drew was in his zone and all these different things, which kind of led to why are we doing this type of play call, or everybody knows that Taysom's going to be in. He's going to run the football. He doesn't pass the football. And, part of that, I think, is maybe just bluffing and just maybe getting defenses in the groove and saying, well, he's in the football game and, he's just going to run. But look, against the Panthers, I think he broke a lot of the streak or the funk off of him. And against the Bears, catching a touchdown pass against two defenders is just absolutely crazy that he got that wide open and they had two people on him. He still made it and was able to take it in the end zone. So look, him heating up at the right time is scary for a lot of teams. And obviously he has value, whether he's running routes, whether he's out of the backfield, whether he's playing quarterback, or if he's playing special teams. I mean, they want to find ways to make him involved, but I don't think they're using him overly too much right now. So I'm interested to see every time he's touched the ball, and when it works, it looks great. And when it doesn't work, people are like, nah, well, Saints are just getting too cute. But look, I like Taysom Hill a lot. I think he brings a lot of value to the offense. He could be one of those guys that just kind of sneak up on you come Sunday night. So we'll just have to see how it plays out, especially if it's bad weather or rainy weather.
In your opinion, John, and which team is it more important for to establish the running game in order to be successful in this game?
Well, for me, I think it's got to be Tampa Bay. And the reason why, again, is the Saints are one of those teams where you're not going to run so well on them. And, I mean, if you get something over 10 yards, you should count your blessings because, I mean, that's just so far and few between. The Saints are almost in a lot of teams, like I remember the game against the Chargers, against the Panthers, the teams, it seemed like they just didn't run the football. Like, you kind of almost abandoned run, said, hey, we know we can beat them in the passing game, and that's what we're going to commit to is passing the football. So definitely an underrated unit for sure. The Bucs, obviously you don't want Brady throwing it 40 or 50 times, but if he has to, he will. Same thing with the Saints, but they don't want to have to do that. But look, they're going to try to keep the run game honest. But if they can get some things going on the ground, it's going to open up a lot of extra things for the team. The Bucs or the Saints are one of those defenses. They don't necessarily play a traditional 4-3. They're more of a nickel formation in their base now. You got Demario Davis and Alex Anzalone at linebacker. You got your 4 down linemen rotating a lot of different looks in there, and then obviously bringing an extra corner or defensive back for slot duties and such. So look, again, I think there's a way for the Bucs on the run game, but look, for me, I think they want to try to keep it honest, if you will, but that Saints run defense has been extremely tight all season, and they have been for years now.
Now, the last time the Bucs were playing in Week 9 where there was a huge divisional game. I can't even tell you how long ago that was for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And, they're 6-2, and the last time they were 6-2, they went to the Super Bowl and won it. So a lot, the Buccaneers playing in primetime versus the Saints Sunday night. I mean, couldn't ask for a better primetime game than this. Let me ask you, my friend, what do you see?
Look, and here's what I think. I think this game's a lot more important for Tampa than it is New Orleans. And I think for New Orleans, the reason why I say is this. New Orleans could win this game, and if New Orleans can win this game, they're going to make a lot of believers out of everybody in the NFL. And at 5-2, obviously you're thinking, well, obviously they're one of the better teams. But even if Tampa were to win this game, the Saints still have a path to win the NFC South because they still have to play Atlanta twice. They have Carolina again. You've already won a couple of division games. Obviously, it would be horrible having to chase Tampa, but at the same time, I think the way their schedule also plays out is a little bit more favorable because when you first looked at it, I mean, you had teams like Denver and Philly, San Francisco, Minnesota, teams that you thought were going to be really good, and they just kind of flopped this year, right? And so when you look at the back half of the Saints schedule, I mean, the only tough team they really have on paper besides Tampa right now is Kansas City. And that's approaching December and stuff like that. And so, again, I think Tampa is out to prove a lot more this game. And Bruce Arians is struggles against the Saints. I think he's only 1-5 right now in his career against New Orleans. And there's a lot of things. And I think this is one of those games where the Bucs feel like they got to get over this hump. And to get over the hump, you got to beat the defending NFC South champions. And so that's the Saints 3 years in a row. I think that if they do that, obviously they're going to be able to control their own destiny a lot more. And I think this is one of those games where they're really coming in here. They want all the smoke. They want to make sure that they're proving that, hey, we're the legit, real deal. And we're here to make a statement and, hey, make a run.
All right, my friend. Well, look forward to watching the game Sunday night. Want to thank you once again for coming on. We call it Pigskin Thursday, but frankly speaking, sports. We enjoyed having you both times on the show.
Yeah, dude, I appreciate you having me for sure, and I'm happy to help out. And I'll leave for Tampa on Saturday, so it's going to be an interesting, fun game for me. And I love visiting Tampa. I think it's my 4th straight year going or something like that. And so, obviously COVID's a little bit different, but look, I enjoy every aspect of it. I love the stadium too. The cannonball gets me every single time. But the Bucs are a team that I remember the old days of like Vince Workman, all those guys, Mark Carrier, Vinny Testaverde, all those. So, I'm a football guy. I love the history of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Mike Allstott coming in there, all those guys. And, even guys like Sean King. I mean, I can remember a whole ton of these guys it's a good storied franchise. And obviously it's good to see them get a Super Bowl, and the Saints have a Super Bowl, and Atlanta and Carolina don't have any. So I can laugh about that, and they've had their chances. So,
hey, real quickly, John, just for the Tampa Bay Buccaneer fans, who's second on the depth chart as your quarterback?
For us right now, it's Taysom Hill. I will say this though, Jameis has looked extremely good this season. And again, you're not seeing anything from him, but his body language, his role in this team, his movement in pre-games, his just physical stature, everything about him looks extremely well. So, look, that's the only problem I hate is I wish we would have had some preseason because I really wanted to see some snaps with Jameis Winston. I think he's picking things up. He's definitely taken on role as a leader here in New Orleans. I remember when they were having coverage issues against Carolina, he stepped in the huddle and was kind of coaching up some of the defensive backs, showing them what they see and stuff. So, look, Jameis is obviously made a name for himself here in New Orleans, and he really hasn't done much of anything, but he's done a lot, if that makes sense.
I understand completely. Well, listen, buddy, have safe travels to Tampa Bay and be safe, okay?
All right, man. Appreciate you having me tonight.
All right, thank you. That was John Hendrix, beat writer for the New Orleans Saints. And what a big, big game we got coming up this weekend. And, We're going to go over the picks, but before we do our picks for the week, we do have them here. This is a big game. You heard John say, well, it's a bigger game for the Buccaneers than it is the Saints. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think it's a big game for both teams because I think the team, if you look at the schedules going balance of the year, the last 8 games of the season, the schedule for both teams is pretty similar. They play New Orleans, which is a tough team, and they both play Kansas City they have remaining. And you got to remember something, okay? You still got Atlanta. You still got Carolina. We got Atlanta twice. They have Atlanta twice. Divisional games are scary. I do not care when you play a divisional opponent at any given time, they can beat you. It's just the way it happens. If it was that easy, you wouldn't play the game. But I think the big thing that's going to come out of this New Orleans Saints Tampa Bay Buccaneers is which defense plays better. How is Cam Jordan matching up against Donovan Smith? How is our cornerbacks matching up against Emmanuel Sanders and Michael Thomas, both who are going to be playing in this game? Bunting showed some glimpses last game, also got beat on a couple of plays. That's going to happen, and I understand that, especially when you have a team like the Buccaneer that is blitzing so frequently that, a lot of the different coverage, you got to be on your toes, and it's a lot. People think, well, you're a second-year player now, a third-year player. This isn't what, this defense is 2 years, not even 2 years old. Todd Bowles has done an exceptional job with these guys, and I'm telling you right now, I'd be surprised if this game between both teams, you're not talking about 70 points in this game. I think the Bucs will win. I think the Bucs just, there's a lot of good offensive teams out there. The Kansas City Chiefs are a good offensive team. The New Orleans Saints are a good offensive team. But I don't know how much better an offense can get on paper than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The key is going to be execution. Antoine Winfield Jr., coming off a big game where he made a very big play. It's going to need that type of momentum. We cannot settle for field goals. And don't get me wrong. Let's get points. Let's get them as frequently as possible. But you got to turn some of these field goals into touchdowns. 3 points a shot against the New Orleans Saints is not going to be enough. You're going to need touchdowns. And don't forget, guys, you're listening to names like Antonio Brown, Chris Godwin, Gronkowski, Mike Evans. Don't forget Tyler Johnson. Don't forget Mickens. Don't forget Grayson. Don't forget Hudson. Don't forget Brate. I mean, it goes on and on and on and on. It's like a smorgasbord of wide receivers and tight ends here in Tampa Bay. It's incredible. Just an incredible offensive team. Then you go in the backfield and you have the Ronald Jones, you have the Leonard Fournette, you have the LaShawn McCoy. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And, I try to wonder what's more difficult. It's got to be not the playing of these guys, not the execution, but you got to give Byron Leftwich some credit for having to, people say, well, it's easy. Look at all these guys. Well, what the heck play into who do you call next? It's not as easy as it sounds, people. But let me tell you, it's a good problem to have. And, I know I've been tough on the defense. Been tough on the defense today, but I'm just want to let everybody know the facts. I'm just letting you know what I think the team needs to do to solidify themselves as a defensive masterpiece. And I just think it's a little bit of touch-up. Once again, the cornerbacks make some good plays here and there. They just need to get more consistent, and they cannot allow the receivers on the New Orleans Saints to get the separation that the New York Giants were able to get against this defense because Drew Brees is not Daniel Jones, and he's going to hit more of those passes than he won't. And that's my thoughts on that. But as far as this game goes, it's in Tampa. You got to go with the home team. I'm looking at a possible 40-31, somewhere in that area type score. I'd be very, very surprised if this wasn't one of the shootouts for the ages. You know, I don't know how much longer Drew Brees has. I think he wants to play another year. Like you heard, Johnny was contemplating retirement last year. We know Brady wants to at least play another year after this year. So the time of these two superstars playing head-to-head is dwindling down, and I think you may see one of the epic games in NFL history this Sunday night. And I do believe the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will win. Now, I promised you folks that we would go ahead and do our picks for Week 9. Let me see if I can get a quick update on the I haven't even looked yet at the game that's going on tonight before I do my picks. It looks like Green Bay is winning in the third quarter, 21-3 is what my computer is saying. So don't know if that's updated, but 21-3 with about 11 minutes left in the third quarter. But let's go ahead. Let me go one at a time here. Let's see if I can pull this up. And then I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on this a little bit. So stay with me, folks. I'm going to get a little bit bigger. I wish I would have known this trick in high school. All right. And then if you look to the right, tonight, I had Green Bay over San Francisco. Green Bay was favored by 2.5 points. So that was my pick number one. Okay. Green Bay, obviously, I don't know what's going on in that game. Aaron Rodgers, the whole San Francisco team is completely hurt. You know, there's no telling what's going on there, but I definitely had Green Bay winning. Then you got the New York Giants, who played one heck of a game on Monday night. They're going to be playing Washington on a short week. I don't think they're going to get enough rest in this short week. I'm picking Washington with the 3.5 to go. You know, Washington is favored by 3.5. I think they'll cover that point spread. You know, Washington's playing really well, playing really competitive. And, I mean, you got to give this football team without a name a lot of credit right now. They're just playing really, really, really well. And I think they'll win that game. Then you got Chicago, the Bears, who just find different ways to keep on winning, versus the Tennessee Titans, who seem to get in a 2-game slump here. But if you look at this game, I think the Titans, they're at home. They're back at Nissan Stadium. They need this. They got Tannehill, Derrick Henry, you know, Adam Murphy. They got Brown on this team. This is just too tough of a team to keep down for a very long amount of time. So I am going to take the Titans, you know, the minus 5.5 points, and I think they'll cover the point. Then you got Detroit and Minnesota. And, you know, week after week after week, you don't know which Minnesota Viking team or Detroit Lion team is going to show up. You know, the Lions are just a quiet team that has so much ability, so much talent, but they still find ways to lose. When Minnesota, you know, Kirk Cousins, you know, what is it, Calvin Cook back there, Dalvin Cook, you know, just an unbelievable runner. I think Minnesota wins this game minus 4. Kansas City, Carolina, you know, Carolina, you know, give them a little credit. They've been hanging in there, but Kansas City's too tough. By far, you know, the best team right now in the AFC, the best offense in the AFC. I mean, Edwards-Helaire, just incredible. Patrick Mahomes, just this team is just an incredible team. Kelsey, Hill, this team is just all put together. They'll more than cover the 10.5 points. Then you got the Houston Texans versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. One thing about Houston, and I said this at the beginning of the year, and it seems like it's playing out this way. Houston likes to start off slow, and then about halfway through the season, they turn it up a notch. So we'll see how this team does. Great team, great ability at quarterback. And Jacksonville, not a very good team. So go ahead and take Houston on the road to beat the Jacksonville Jaguars. Then you got the Baltimore Ravens and the Indianapolis Colts. And give the Colts credit. They've been playing okay this year, but Baltimore is going to be too tough to beat. Baltimore is just an incredible team, incredible talent at the quarterback position and all the way around. And I see them easily winning by more than 3 points versus the Indianapolis Colts. Then Seattle versus Buffalo. I struggled with this one a little bit because you go ahead and you look at this team, the Buffalo Bills, and they seem every week to impress me more and more. Now, let's take for granted they're in the second worst division probably in the NFL, the NFC East maybe being the worst. But, Buffalo, New England's not good. The Jets are terrible. So, and the Miami Dolphins are slowly but surely moving up. So, the only team in that division that would scare me if I'm the Buffalo Bills right now would have to be the Miami Dolphins. But the Buffalo Bills, with Allen at quarterback doing a great job, just incredible. And I take Buffalo in that game plus 2.5 points. Let's go ahead and bring this down a minute. All right, so we'll take this. We'll bring this one up. All right, folks, stay with me while we continue to do our picks here. I'm just bringing the second page up. All right. Let's go ahead and start out with Denver at Atlanta. I'm taking Denver over Atlanta. Atlanta just finds ways to lose. I don't know what it is. They don't have a bad team. They got some great players. I like Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan. I always enjoyed him, the guy from Boston College. I enjoyed him in college watching him play. The Julio Jones. It's just, is another player. They got a very, very good team, yet they find ways to keep losing. I'm taking Denver +4 in that game. Atlanta's -4. So Atlanta is actually favored to win that game, but that's mostly due to the fact that they're probably the home team. All right. Then you got the Las Vegas Raiders and the Cardinals. Both teams have been playing okay. John Gruden has that team playing really, really well with Derek Carr out there. The Los Angeles Chargers are on a rebirth with Justin Herbert at their quarterback. This should be a great AFC West matchup, but somehow, somewhere, when it comes to these type of divisional games, the Las Vegas Raiders show up, and this game is lost. The Chargers are only a 1.5 point favorite. I think the Raiders win this game. Then you got the Pittsburgh Steelers, who have been having a little hiccup here, who, is just winning their division right now. Not sure if they lost last week for the first time or not, but here I think they did. So I think they're 6-1 now, but they're going into a team that is very, very bad with the Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys, just are broken. They're not just broken on the field, but they are also broken in the front office. Everywhere on the administration side, this team has issues. I am taking the Pittsburgh Steelers to cover the 9.5 points. Then another unbelievable 4 o'clock game. When you look at it, might be the best 4 o'clock game. Some people look at Las Vegas versus the Chargers, but Miami versus Arizona. Miami, the Tua time is here now. It's Tua time. And, they're not making no jokes about it. They won with Tua last game. He got that first game under his belt, but they're playing a very good Arizona team in Kyle Murray. This is going to be a game that could go down to the end of regulation. But, Arizona is favored by 4.5 points. And I think Arizona just, with the maturity and the experience will win out on this game. Although it would not have surprised me if Miami does upset them. But I am got to take a team. I'm taking Arizona. Then you got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the New Orleans Saints. What we're talking should be the game of the week. Brady versus Breeze. Unbelievable offensive weapons with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and also with the New Orleans Saints. This is going to be a shootout. I said both teams can have a combined 70 points in this game. I wouldn't be surprised if it's like a 40-31. I'm just throwing numbers out. Game this Sunday night. It should be a great one in Tampa Bay. The Bucs are actually favored by 4.5. And I'll tell you what. I think the Bucs win this game. I just don't see how any team going forward can stop this offensive masterpiece that has been put together, and it keeps getting better and better and better. We said this earlier in the show, and I'll say it again. Just look at it. I mean, I don't have to keep saying it. You're talking Brown, Godwin, Evans as your 3 receivers, Gronkowski, okay? Then you add Tyler Johnson, Brait, Mickens. I mean, there's just so much to add into this offense. It's just incredible. And when you look on the running game, if they get it together, which they haven't the last couple of weeks, they've been solid, but nothing spectacular. If they establish a running game, whoa, they're going to keep going. They may run all the way to Fort Myers because, you got Fournette, who's been running like a beast. Ronald Jones, has, I think, close to 600 yards rushing on the year already and could get 1,000 yards this year like we predicted at the beginning of the year. So we'll see what happens there. But Tampa Bay wins this game and covers the points. Then the Monday night game, which, what a terrible Monday night game for them to have to show as an ABC on Monday night. New England at the Jets. Both teams, no one's doing anything well. Jets, you look up the word terrible in the dictionary and you see a picture of this year's Jets team in it. They're just that bad this year. And then, of course, the Patriots are nothing special. I think the big question about the Patriots is going to be, when do you decide, if you're Bill Belichick, to maybe play Jared Stidham, and if I pronounce the name correctly. But, Stidham is the guy that he's very high on. They said they weren't going to get another quarterback. Yeah, we know what Belichick says. They go out, they get Cam Newton, and obviously Newton is starting, and deservingly so. I agree with that move. But there's going to be a time here where Belichick has to decide, do we give our 2 and 3 quarterback a chance to show what they have so we know what we got for the future? Do we give Stidham a chance? See what we got. So this way during the offseason, we pick somebody up. And I'll tell you right now, and I know it's not talking about this. Well, I'll tell you who I think is going to win this game in a minute. The biggest acquisition in the offseason as a free agent could be Jameis Winston. Who would have ever thought? But as far as this game goes, you got to pick a team in this game. They're both terrible teams. The game is in New York. Can the Jets win their first game? No. I take the New England Patriots to to cover the 7 points and win this game. So let's go ahead and get back down to normal size here. All righty, and let's go ahead and get that out of there. Let's get that out of there. All right. Now we're starting to move along. So, ladies and gentlemen, those are my picks for the week. So far for the, I believe we're 49-50 on the season. 1 game under 500. Of course, we pick with the points. We don't just pick win or lose. I put all the scores and the points down on the bottom for your convenience. I do want to remind everybody what a special 2 days, Monday and Tuesday for right now. We have on Frankly Speaking Sports and our Bullseye Show. For those of you that have not read the bottom, that's scrolling around, listen to this lineup. Monday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Of course, we're going to recap the New Orleans Saints versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And after that, we're going to have former Boston Celtic Greg Kite, who played during those championship years with Larry Bird, Cedric Maxwell, ML Carr, Robert Parrish, all the great players, Danny Ainge back then. We get Greg Kite on our show Monday night. We're going to be talking to Greg about his career in the NBA, his time winning world championships with the Boston Celtics, and also his new financial business that he has as well. So definitely looking forward to that. Then on Tuesday night, on our Bullseye platform, USF Bullseye, BULLS platform, you really need to go ahead and become a member. What a great show. We introduce a lot of we interview a lot of former athletes that went to USF, that played on various teams. We're trying to get some of the women basketball players from the past on as well. So we got some names. We're trying to get some contacts, and we'll try to get them on as well. But this Tuesday night, 9 p.m., former basketball great out of USF, Tony Greer, will be joining us live on our Bullseye show, on our Bullseye platform. Once again, become a member, guys. It's free. You're getting all these free interviews. It's incredible. So, we don't ask for anything. We just ask for you to show up and listen to the interviews. And, hope you enjoyed tonight's show. We did a quick recap of the Giants game. We did a nice, I want to thank both our guests tonight. Toy Cook, former New Orleans Saints great defensive back, for joining us tonight, talking about his career. And we also want to thank John Hendrix, who is always accommodating with us, for joining us and previewing the New Orleans Saints and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. For all you folks out there, have a good night, be safe, and we'll see you Monday on Frankly Speaking